If you're a homeowner or new to DIY and you're looking to invest in your first power tool, you've come to the right place. Today I'm going to tell you exactly which one you should buy first and why, here on Proper DIY. Just about everything you need to do as a DIYer can be carried out with basic hand tools. Between an average tool set of a hammer, screwdrivers, hand drills and other bits and pieces, homeowners have been managing to do this for years because they either didn't have the power tools, they didn't want to spend the money on the power tools, or in some cases they just didn't exist in the market. But things have moved on quite a lot over the last few years, and power tools, and especially cordless power tools, are more accessible and cheaper than ever before. So it makes sense to use them where you can, if you can justify the cost. So why even bother spending the money on power tools if you can carry out the task with basic hand tools, I hear you ask? Well, two reasons really, and then a consequence of those two reasons. And the two reasons are speed and quality of work. You see, having the right power tool definitely speeds up the work and also takes the effort out of some of the tasks, and using it in the right way will produce better, cleaner and more consistent results than many hand tools. And the consequence for not taking the effort out of the work and ending up in a bit of a mess, well, normally a reluctance to do any more work around the house because the effort was more than the payback, and the end result just wasn't what was intended. Also, the wife got upset, she wasn't impressed with it, and all of that doesn't inspire you to do any more DIY. So what power tools do I think the average DIYer needs? Well, for most who just want to carry out minor repairs around the house and put together the occasional flat back piece of furniture, just one, and that is the cordless drill. The cordless drill, this is the most useful, the most versatile and the most used power tool that any DIYer will ever own. It doesn't only drill holes very well, it doubles up as a screwdriver with some functions you may not be aware of. And this is my main drill I've been using for the last couple of years, and you may have seen it in my videos. It's probably featured in every one now. Drilling everything from metal to steel to timber in all shapes and sizes, brick, concrete and even earth for planting a hedge. But the versatility of it being cordless does make life an awful lot easier. But if you're looking to buy your first drill, you may have also seen basic corded drills like this. This is my old Black & Decker here. From first glance, they're both very similar. They're both drills, aren't they? Except for one's got a cable and the other one has got a great big battery here. In most cases, the corded drills these days will actually be quite a bit cheaper, and therefore you may be inclined to be looking at buying something like this rather than the cordless. But don't be fooled. Although these two look similar, they are completely different tools and do completely different things as well. And here is a number of reasons why. First, variable speed. So what do I mean by variable speed? Well, the trigger system on most modern cordless drills or drill drivers adjusts the speed depending on how hard you pull it. This function doesn't necessarily exist on all drills like this one here. It's really either on or off. There's no middle ground, irrespective of how careful I am on the trigger. Which doesn't really help us if we want to use this as a screwdriver, unless you want to screw really fast, which I wouldn't recommend. But on the cordless screwdriver, this means two things. Firstly, when drilling, you can really slow down the rotation speed of the chuck. And for some types of drilling, that's really what you need. For instance, when you're starting off in masonry, you want to go slowly before you really sort of start drilling the hole. Also, when you're drilling into steel. If you saw my how to drill through steel beams with a cordless drill video, you'll see that it's absolutely essential to drill at a slow, steady speed. Drilling into steel fast is a sure way of creating heat and blunting your drill bits very quickly. So secondly, being able to slow down the rotation and control it means that we can use this as a cordless screwdriver in a controlled way. Just by popping in a bit holder like this means that you now have an endless range of screwdriver bits to choose from. And if you buy a set like this, that has a whole range of shapes and sizes, enabling you to use this on all kinds of fixings, including flat pack furniture assembly, just like I did in my IKEA shelving assembly video. If you haven't seen the video, I would highly recommend it, as it's got one of my top tips for flat pack furniture assembly, which I haven't seen anywhere else on the internet. And it means that you can use a drill like this to really speed up screwing in the special shaped fixings, even without having to buy the special bits like I have. Go and have a look at it. I'm sure it will give you some ideas and maybe a bit of food for thought. So it's great that we're able to use this as a screwdriver, but we have so much torque or power here that if we're not careful, every screw will be either driven too far or the head will be stripped off. So this is where the second little trick that these drill drivers have come in, and that is they have a clutch. And the clutch is a mechanism that essentially disengages the chuck from the motor at a certain torque. It's got a ring adjustment here that goes from 1 to 15. On 1, I can actually stop the chuck just by holding it with very little effort. If you put it up to 15, that's the sort of setting that you would use it on if you're screwing into something very, very hard. It's a great feature for tightening fixings, like in the shelf video I just showed you, where you don't want to under tighten or over tighten them, and you've got a number of repetitive fixings to do. And if you've got a number of screws to put into the same material, say if you were building a deck for instance, where you've got hundreds of screws to go in, once you've got the correct adjustment, then you don't even need to think about what you're doing, which means you can drive screws at full speed without the fear of damaging the workpiece. Let me show you what I mean. So I'm just going to set the clutch on the top setting to start with and see how far this screw goes in. So that goes in essentially all the way and there's no stopping it, which means this setting is far too high if I want to get the screw down to surface level. If I put it right down, you'll see that probably it doesn't actually screw in far enough. So the clutch has come and engaged the motor, and we've still got another ½ an inch to go down. We're on number 3, so maybe if we go up to 6, we'll find something in the middle. Well, there you go, that's looking a lot better. That's level with the surface. So now, if I know that it's on number 6 and I've got a number of screws down to the same level, I don't even have to think about it. As soon as you hear the clutch goes on, it means that the motor has disengaged from the chuck and it stops screwing. We can just finish this one off. And there you are, all of them are nice flush with the surface at breakneck speed without even having to think about it. On here there's also standard settings for normal drilling and also using the hammer action if you're on masonry or concrete. Now most of these types of drills also have a high and low setting for their drilling speed depending on what you're using it for. So when it comes to batteries, I found that this particular DeWalt works really well with these 2 amp hour small batteries. They last a surprisingly long time, and these are the smallest ones that DeWalt do. This set came with 2 of these batteries included with the drill, and actually lasted me quite a long time until I got onto the bigger workload jobs, which I upgraded then to 4 amp hour batteries. And these ones came from ITS for all the tools you need. Absolutely great company. So for DIYers and homeowners, this is the essential power tool and the main one to have. And for a lot of people, probably the only one they'll ever need. It's not only versatile, but it drills and screws in ways difficult to replicate with basic hand tools, and it speeds up the work for sure. If you're just getting started into DIY and woodwork, then this should definitely be your first investment. And what make and model would I recommend? Well, I would definitely aim at the 18 volt version. Generally, the higher the voltage, say 18 volts versus 12 volts, the more powerful the drill. And when it comes to make, well, really, all the main power tool manufacturers generally have a number of good quality drill drivers in their lineup. And if you're willing to invest £100 or $150 plus, then you're guaranteed to get a reliable, all singing, all dancing tool that will last you many, many years from whatever company and whatever colour you decide to go with. If your budget doesn't run to that, or DIY isn't something that you really think maybe you're going to get into, you can still get on the ladder for £70 plus or $100, but I wouldn't say that that will get you years of use from it, and you probably won't have the similar power than the most expensive makes. I've listed some of my recommendations in the description below if you're interested in having a look. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have, please check out the other ones on my channel and please subscribe. So until next time, keep screwing.